splashing in the shallow end. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I hope you're doing okay. I'm not too bad, thanks very much for asking. This is not thoughts from a car, obviously. It's not thoughts from a cable car. It could be thoughts, if you had an HNI, it could be thoughts from a chair. Possibly, yep. Anyway, thought I would just try this quick one, see how things are. Again, not a particularly nice topic. They always say begin, what are you going to say with a joke? This really isn't a joke. Topic of what I thought I'd talk about today is assisted dying. I know, lovely, isn't it? And obviously, if you've seen any other of the sort of videos I've done, you'll know that one time I did talk about my mum's passing and all that sort of stuff. So it's vaguely connected to that sort of thing. So there, well, how do we go? Well, my thoughts on assisted dying have sort of changed over the years. Originally, but a long time ago, I was very much against it. Always said, palliative care, that's the sort of thing you need to focus on, and all that sort of stuff. But since Mum died, views have not really changed because they were sort of moving in a different direction, but certainly her death had sort of solidified my thoughts about it. And whenever I used to go around and see my mum, especially if somebody was coming out to see her, maybe a hospice nurse or a district nurse or somebody from Marie Curie or whoever it was, I'd always say to her, Mum, now tomorrow, so-and-so from wherever it was is coming out to see you. And so think in the time between now and when she arrives, I want you to think of a few questions. And before she could say anything, she went, I would say, no, she doesn't know how long you have left to live. That was the only question my mum really had. And it was a question that nobody could answer. Well, they could sort of guesstimate in a rough, but actually, as it turned out, fairly accurate way. But the only thing she wanted to know was how long did she have left to live? That was the only question. And for many people who are in the situation that she found herself in, that really is the only question. Because it's not as if things are going to improve. It's not as if there's a 60-40 chance of success or even a 30% chance or 20%. They know that the only outcome that they have with this disease or condition is death. And there's no way around it. And often it's a degrading of your own quality of life. I mean, nobody goes through a situation like that and suddenly it's all going, oh, I'm feeling better, and suddenly they die. It's no, they start from a position of being sort of roughly okay, and then it's a gradual downhill. Now, sometimes it can be a faster downhill thing and people suffer an awful lot. But when you know you're going to die, you just want to die. I think that's it. And certainly with my mum, that was it. She just wanted to know when it was going to happen and if possible for the thing to happen a bit quicker. Now, the other question is, although, my thoughts are that assisted dying is a good thing, especially in a terminal case where there's no prospect of any improvement. I think it's something that should go ahead. Now, the thing is, if my mum had agreed to it, and my brother and I had agreed or been on board with it and all that sort of stuff, if a doctor had turned to me and said, would you like to switch off the machine or push that button and give her a lethal injection to speed up her death, or I don't know, to be honest, if I'd do it. In my head, it's perfectly rational. It's what she would have wanted or what she would want in that situation. But I don't know whether me pushing the button and actually bringing her life to an end would have been something I would have been comfortable with. Certainly not at that time. I don't think I would have been comfortable with it in the there and then of the moment. Maybe later on I could be able to rationalize it or think it out. So assisted dying is it's a horrible topic. And of course, as they say, it's also, I think, attributed to Mark Twain, isn't it? Death and taxes, the only things you're guaranteed of in life. But nobody wants to die in a horrible way. And my mum's wasn't the worst death, but it wasn't the best. It was a gradual reduction in her quality of life. And I know in a selfish way, for me looking on, it was a horrible thing to see and not be able to do anything. I mean, that was the worst bit. It was that feeling of helplessness, of being able to do something, but not anything that would really make the sort of change that you wanted to make. And so a lot of people have far worse situations than my mum went through. But if you're going to die and there's nothing else that can be done, sometimes on your own terms seems to be the best sort of approach. You can sort of go out while you have the capacity, the faculties to talk to people, say goodbye properly, rather than people, through snotters and tears and talking to somebody who's not able to respond. So, I mean, it gives you a certain amount of control. And it's not even about control, it's about dignity. Again, my mum was sort of in nappies and slowly starving to death. She didn't eat anything for weeks, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And that's horrible. So it gives somebody at least a modicum of control and dignity and a sense that whilst they can't change the eventual outcome, they can, in a way, have their mark on it, have their influence on it. So anyway, assisted dying, horrible thing to have to go through, I would imagine, but maybe it's a possibility. And I know that their old slippery slope argument, oh, well, people will feel pressurized, and although you start off saying it's terminally ill, then it'll be non-terminal chronic conditions and all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's an argument, I suppose, to have, but I think when it is a situation where somebody is terminally ill, there's no chance of recovery, then assisted dying is something maybe we should, as a society, be thinking about and planning for. I know a lot of religious people are against it. And when I was religious, absolutely, I was against it completely. But the reality of things is that maybe an option. Maybe an option. Anyway, look after yourselves. Look after the ones you love, especially the ones who are not very well. Look after those around you who don't love you, because that's a sign that we're a proper society. And sure, I'll maybe see you in a car next time, sometime in the future. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.